So, in case I forget your name during recording, our recording platform has now forced our names onto the screen. So, here we are, Blake and Amanda, and I'm hoping that the actual recording doesn't have those on there. And we can't find a way to get them off in settings, so
Yeah, and it looks cheap.
it looks cheap, but so are we. So
That's true.
maybe it suits us.
Yeah. Maybe this is something that we get for being like, mysterious and low class and,
Or,
poor, budget.
uh,
Yeah, everything that we are.
yeah,
Allow you to introduce ourselves.
that's right. Welcome to Forbidden, the podcast where we discuss the disgusting, the dark, and the disgraceful in our unmentionables. Yes, we have slipped into something more comfortable, and listener, we hope that you are doing the same. Oh, I should intro myself. I sort of already did because it's right there on the screen. I'm Blake Roberts.
And I'm Amanda Kamada. And we have a new series. This is the second episode of our Confession series, which is our limited series that delves into true crime stories where the faith takes a dark turn. We'll explore cases involving religious leaders and spiritual communities that hid sinister secrets behind their holy facades. So join us as we unravel the complex intersection of devotion and deception. And again, my name is Amanda, which you probably have been hammered into by now.
And in case you've forgotten, I'm Blake.
Yes. So the sources for my story tonight are Wikipedia, the Encyclopedia of Arkansas, Refinery 29, splcenter.org, and heddles.com. And so the hints that I gave, I'm not sure if you remember, were.
Do I remember from it was so long ago, but can I try it?
Yeah, you can definitely try it because I might not remember it.
Okay, I definitely remember Arkansas was the first hint,
Mm,
California,
mm,
and rhinestones.
that's correct.
I have a really good memory
Yes, you do
for
have a
about
good
20
memory.
minutes.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about a religious sector that included fancy 80s denim jackets, cults, and rampant abuse. We're going to be talking about the Tony Alamo Ministries. Have you ever heard of Tony Alamo, being from Oklahoma area?
It sounds vaguely familiar. I don't remember it, but I am absolutely captivated by that little rundown you just gave.
Yeah,
I'm ready
yeah.
for this.
So Alamo is spelled as Alamo. So like remember the Alamo.
Remember Alamo?
Yeah. Buenos dias, y'all. But it's pronounced Alamo. And from the late 60s until his final arrest in 2008, he ran a religious ministry, some would call a cult, that separated families, forced people to work tireless hours without pay, where he beat and sexually assaulted children, tried to bring people back from the dead. And then all of this still made some sweet ass rhinestone denim jackets. So, about the jackets, these jackets were extremely popular in the 80s, and there's actually been a resurgence of interest now in vintage wares for the Tony Alamo jackets. It said you could see them on everyone from Mr. T, Sonny Bono, Burt Reynolds, Dolly Parton,
Shut up.
and listen to this. Michael Jackson even wore a customized leather version on his cover of his Bad album. So
Wow.
these jackets were like super popular, worn, by people in Hollywood. And they were these like distressed denim jackets that had like rhinestones and artwork and stuff on them. So Tony Alamo jackets. So basically today we're going to go inside the Tony Alamo of both this Nashville fashion label and the Tony Alamo Ministries cult. So, just a little about Tony to begin with. He was a well known evangelist who converted to radical Christianity, founded what was finally called the Tony Alamo Christian Ministries with his wife Susan, and later establishing its headquarters in Dyer, Arkansas, which had a population of 776 people in 2022. So that's near the Fort Smith, Arkansas, Oklahoma border.
Mm.
And for those listeners who may not be familiar with Northwest Arkansas, like this is just like a tiny small town, basically on the border of Arkansas and Oklahoma, because they are right next to each other. And I have to tell you, whenever I was in college, I used to drive to Oklahoma on Sundays to get alcohol because you couldn't buy alcohol on Sundays in Fayetteville. And it was only like an hour away. So hit those up. Widely regarded as a cult, Alamo and the ministry was at the center of a number of lawsuits and government interventions. He was jailed a variety of times on charges that included income tax evasion, shocking, the theft of his late wife's body, and taking underage girls across state line for sex, among others. So this has got a lot of tentacles. It's a pretty complicated story, but a little about Tony Alamo before we get started. He was born Bernie Lazar Hoffman on September 20th, 1934 in Joplin, Missouri. His father was a Jewish immigrant from Romania, and Alamo claimed that he had been a dance instructor for Rudolph Valentino. Sure.
Questionable.
Yes. When he was a teenager, he left Joplin for Los Angeles. He first apparently adopted the name Marcus Abad for some time and achieved some success as a big band crooner out in LA. So he was really young at the time. But he did really well in LA. He went on to own a health club and worked in the music industry. He claimed that he recorded a hit record single in the early 1960s called, quote, Little Yankee Girl, and that he was asked to manage musical acts, including the Beatles, the Doors, and the Rolling Stones. None of this could ever truly be confirmed. That, you know, he seemed to have a very grandiose, like, persona of himself, you know, so maybe this was true, maybe it wasn't.
You mean Alamo lied to us about managing the Beatles? I'm shaken.
You don't say.
Shaken to the core.
So in 1966, this is when he kind of starts getting tied up with the law. He served a bit of jail time for a weapons charge, but he married Edith Opal Horn from Alma, Arkansas, who was also of Jewish descent. Now, let me just say that being from Arkansas or Missouri, there are very few Jewish people there.
Uh-huh.
And for those two to both end up in LA from these towns, like Joplin isn't like right next to Alma, Arkansas. It's like in the northwest corner of the state. But to be both of Jewish descent is like very like uncommon in those areas. Particularly, I would think back then.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, this was in the 60s. She was 9 years older than him, and she was a two-time divorcee who already had a daughter, and she herself had moved to Hollywood to become an actress. Shocking. But ended up supporting herself partly by scamming churches into believing her to be a missionary in need of money. Some sources say that they changed their names to Tony and Susan Alamo after their marriage, although Tony Alamo has claimed that he changed his own name prior to mimic the Italian-American singers who were popular at the time. So they both had Jewish names, did a name change, that sort of thing. So how did their religion actually get started? Because, you know, at this time, he's just like owning some businesses and stuff in LA, right? And he's been what some would say somewhat successful, but maybe a little bit eccentric in his telling of, you know, the story of his life and that sort of thing. But how did the religion get started? Well, according to Alamo himself, while he was in a meeting at a Beverly Hills investment firm, he said Jesus Christ came to him and told him to preach the second coming of Christ. So basically, he and Susan, his wife, then like immediately converted to Christianity and established the Music Square Church, which was a Hollywood street ministry that passed out religious tracts and preaching. Especially, I'm guessing they were like going to places like Skid Row because they were speaking especially to drug addicts, alcoholics, and prostitutes. And back in these days, their ministry was part of the quote, Jesus People movement, in which many of those involved in the counterculture of the 1960s began proclaiming a spiritual transformation and allegiance to Jesus. So this is around the 60s that this started happening. So he converted. I don't know if he was ever really a practicing Jew, but he converted to this radical Christianity and started speaking the word. And his teachings were based on the Pentecostal theology, which included rampant paranoia and extreme anti-Catholicism. I mean, I guess I can, agree with that one, where he preached. So he had conspiracy theories like the Vatican being the real power broker behind the White House and the United Nations and the media. The various publications of his ministry offered, such as the Vatican, Moscow, Washington Allegiance, and it detailed his conspiracy theories. So he actually put these into books and or periodicals. He also claimed that UFOs are divine messengers from heaven and signs the end of times.
I bite.
Yeah. So at this time, he doesn't seem like quite that crazy. But when it comes in to where this all seems to get a little crazy is the communal living that was a tenet of the Music Square Church, right? So basically, he being a businessman, he started taking the money, putting into the church, and the church quickly expanded its financial, basically properties, buying several businesses and establishing a compound in nearby Saugus, California. Have you ever heard of Saugus or Saugus, California?
Say
You.
It sounds familiar. I feel like I've seen it on a map.
It
But
must
no,
be outside of LA or something like that.
yeah.
Because they were, basically taking all these people off the streets into their ministry and that sort of thing, and taking them to this commune. And the commune members usually lived there and worked at the Alamo owned business, and they turned their salaries over to the church. With free labor, the church turned into an empire. Even as many members had to scavenge food from supermarket dumpsters and were forbidden from flushing the toilets more than every 2 or 3 days.
Man, that's like my old landlord. He always did that thing of, because he was cheap, he always did the thing of, if it's yellow, let it mellow.
Oh,
Brown, flush it down.
are you kidding me?
No, I mean, we didn't do that, but
Right. God. So basically, what they were doing is running these businesses, employing these people, who had joined their ministry and lived in their commune. And basically, when they paid them, they donated their money back to the church. So they were basically not being paid at all. Right. And they were basically scavenging for food and all that kind of stuff while he's making all the money. So this was in the 60s that this started happening, the late 60s. In 1975, the Alamos purchased land in Dyer, Arkansas, which is again near that Oklahoma, Arkansas border, and established the main branch of the Music Square Church, which was later called the Holy Alamo Christian Church Consecrated before its final name was adopted. So they went through different iterations of this church, over a number of years. At one time, Alamo owned as many as 29 businesses in nearby Alma, Arkansas, which included Alamo Western Wear. I'm sure that did pretty well there, as well as the Alamo Restaurant and the Alamo Discount Grocery. I wonder if your parents remember this.
I don't know, maybe.
I mean, it feels like something like that our parents would remember, like this Tony Alamo thing, and like
Yeah.
their brand was everywhere and stuff like that under the guise of like religion, like
Mhm.
which is crazy. Remember or do recall, his followers worked in all of these businesses for practically nothing. And soon the organization established yet another compound in Nashville, Tennessee. So not only were they making money, working at his stores or restaurants or stuff like that, they were also making money making those damn jackets. And
It's like a sweatshop.
basically, because those jackets were very ornate and a lot of it had to do with hand stitching and hand distressing the denim and stuff like that. So it was not like they were inexpensive jackets that took like, were factory made.
Mhm.
They were basically, doing all of this to be in, the ministry slash cult. Hey, balloons.
It's a celebration
It's a
of
celebration of
cult
things.
slavery
Yes.
and distressed denim jackets.
And distressed denim jackets with rhinestones.
I love when these video meeting things decide to just throw in fun emoji type things.
Randomly.
Yes.
Yes. So in 1976, so 75 is when they bought that other compound and started growing their, reach in Arkansas. That was 1975. In 1976, the US Department of Labor brought charges against him for violations of the Fair Labor Standard Act. He had not been issuing checks to his employees and offered only the most menial financial compensation, leaving some disgruntled followers to begin reporting his activities. So he lost that suit, as well as an appeal to the Supreme Court in 1985. Then the IRS took away his tax exempt status from the church for a certain number of years because they were the church owned enterprise was exempt, that they were arguing from federal income taxes, but they were kind of a church in disguise in a way. But that went through a number of years of back and forth and even through the Supreme Court and stuff like that. So I don't know if that was the Supreme Court of Arkansas or the Supreme Court of the USA. I wasn't really clear on that. Again, filing false tax returns, doing that stuff and constantly being sued after a while for people starting to come out, um, against him. But while he was tied up in the courts on federal tax evasion charges, other allegations were levied against him from various quarters. There were reports of child abuse, kids being taken away and then reunited with their natural fathers who had been excommunicated from the, religious cult, their wives that had remarried, those sorts of things. But probably one of the weirdest things that he was in trouble with the law for was because was surrounding the Alamo Christian Ministries, as it is now called, that had to do with the body of Susan Alamo, who died of cancer on April 8th of 1982. Now keep these dates in mind. So she died of cancer on April 8th of 1982.
Okay.
So Tony Alamo quickly predicted that she would be resurrected. So he kept her embalmed body on display at their compound in Arkansas for approximately 6 months before putting it into a mausoleum.
Wow.
Yeah. And so in February of 1991, He ordered his followers to vacate the compound prior to a federal raid and to bring along the body of Susan Alamo. So they were literally going, and he gave them the go to take her body. But Chancery Court ordered Alamo to return the body in 1995 in response filed by her estranged daughter. So after a 3-year legal battle, his followers finally brought the body to a funeral home in 1998 in Arkansas. The following month, she was finally laid to rest in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Lots of tie-ins like to our states in this evening.
Yeah.
He had various marriages that were really controversial. It's said that he had possibly been married twice before he even married Susan. So there was really never like a total number that was given. But following her death, rumors had spread that he had taken two 15-year-old girls as wives. Yeah, on June 23rd, 1984, he married a Swedish native in Las Vegas, Nevada, although the marriage only lasted 2 years because she claimed that he wanted her to have plastic surgery to look like his late wife, Susan, and that he regularly beat and drugged her.
God.
Yes. Yes. So when Alamo was released from federal prison in 1998 for all of this IRS and, those sorts of things, he hadn't even been charged with this other stuff yet. They were just basically gathering information on him. He quickly reassumed his status when he got out of prison of a reduced role in the Christian ministries. But he was still being heard over a dozen radio stations in the United States and more in Africa, Sri Lanka, and the Philippines.
Great.
Yeah. He claimed the government actions against him were merely the machinations of Satan, and his followers continued to attract controversy for distributing his printed literature across the United States and beyond. So he is able, to get out for a little while longer, takes a reduced role. But on September 20th of 2008, he was again raided by state and federal authorities. They raided the Arkansas compound as part of a 2-year investigation into allegations of child abuse and child pornography. On September 25th, 2008, he himself was arrested in Flagstaff, Arizona, on a federal warrant charging him with violating the Mann Act. But that is a federal statute enacted to stop the trafficking of women or girls across state lines, and which he had done over a period from March 1994 through October of 2005. So long time. At the end of the trial, that included several women testifying that they had been sexually abused by him, some even having been forced to become his wife as young as 8 years old.
Ew, that's so foul.
Yes, yes. So he was found guilty July 24, 2009 on 10 counts of taking underage girls across state lines for sex. On November 13th of that year, so November 13th of 2009, he was sentenced to 175 years in prison and was also fined $250,000. That $250,000 seems a little low to me. And
After all
then
the money he made off of
yeah,
the slaves selling
right.
the expensive distressed denim jackets.
Right, right. And so, of course, he appealed that ruling. And on December 2nd of 2010, the Eighth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals upheld his conviction and sentence. In February of 2014, the largest personal injury judgment in Arkansas history was awarded in actual and punitive damages to 7 former members of the Tony Alamo Christian Ministries, $525 million that they were awarded. Now,
Wow.
did they, like get that in like a lump sum? How is that distributed? Those sorts of things to 7 members and how they proved it. That would be really interesting to know, because $525 million is a lot of money. But was he able to pay that back? I mean, he was going to be in prison.
Right.
Or did they liquidate all of his assets? And surely they weren't worth $525 million. I mean, he had land in Arkansas.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
In Arkansas, and he had some old denim jackets from the 80s.
yes, yes. He died in federal custody in North Carolina on May 2nd of 2017. So he lasted, about 7 years in prison before he passed away. There have been a couple of things done about him with regards to the arts. In 2016, playwright Ernest Kearney produced a one-man show, My Alamo War, for the Hollywood Fringe Festival in Los Angeles. And it recounted his 4-year struggle against the Alamo Church in Hollywood. He succeeded in getting the high-end jackets, which were designed by Alamo and manufactured by unpaid cult members, removed from a majority of the clothing stores, which were located on Hollywood Boulevard. And they gained attention of the local media, by sort of talking about the abuses of the cult. And they won Fringe's Encore Producer Award. And then in 2019, Sundance TV, I'm going to have to look this up, actually broadcast a 4-part miniseries. It was called Ministry of Evil, The Twisted Cult of Tony Alamo. And it was based on the lives of he and Susan. And it basically goes through his, whole life and teachings and stuff like that, which I think might be interesting to see. Ironically, I don't know if this is the same thing or a breakoff, but even though he's dead, I found like a website called alamoministries.com, and it's basically kept up by the Tony Alamo Christian Ministries like group. And I swear to God, like, you should go to the website. It looks like it hasn't been updated since like 2005.
What's that other cult that still maintains a website?
Oh, we actually did the story about it.
Did we?
It was the one where like she was like the celestial person.
No, there's another one.
Oh, really?
There's probably a lot.
Right.
Anyway, maybe we'll find it.
Yeah. So that's the story of Tony Alamo and his wife, Susan, and the cult that they ran. Basically, they were running, like you said, a sweatshop.
Yeah. Wow. This website is like something special.
Right.
I remember them. I remember seeing these photos of them. Wow. They've got like a thing on their website about the Waco massacre. Yeah, that was fascinating. I want to know more.
I know. I might watch that Sundance TV broadcast. And I think that there have been other books written by survivors of that cult, particularly child survivors, who have come out and written books and stuff like that on their experiences there. But yeah, it's so funny that for years it was like his tax evasion and his like breaking labor laws and stuff like that were like his, like, it was like this huge deal, but there was this sexual abuse and all that kind of stuff going into the background that it seems like they completely missed for like 10 years.
This number is still listed on his website. 24-hour prayer and information line.
Oh.
If you're looking for, absolution or whatever it is.
You should call that sometime on the Talk of Shame.
Yeah, we should dial it.
And just see if anyone answers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'd be like a little skit. We could make up something that we're in peril about.
They'll pray for us. Maybe my grandma will answer. Pray for me some more.
Yes.
This evil, evil lifestyle. Well, I love it. Just a fun, scary religious sect story.
Yeah, yeah. And I want to see some of these rhinestone jackets. I've actually looked some up, but I want to see like Mr. T wearing one. I want to go back and look at the Bad album now just to see the jacket that he's wearing, you know.
I googled some while you were telling that story. Pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love seeing Dolly in there after I made that comment last time.
Yeah.
The hints.
Yeah, that's why I almost was just like I pointed to you and I was just like,
You got quiet, and I was like,
yes.
"Is Dolly gonna make an appearance in this?" And sure enough, she did.
Yeah, how could she not?
Yeah.
Rhinestones, denim jackets, 80s.
She's the queen of rhinestones.
You know that she probably wore those on tour somewhere.
Oh yeah,
You know,
that's
that was
crazy.
part of the wardrobe for sure.
Sweatshop jacket.
Yes. Yes.
Man, that wine hit me. I'm feeling so relaxed right now. And a little sleepy, but in a good way, you know?
Yeah. Like you're going to sleep well tonight. That's good.
God, I hope so.
You're probably just lagging too from not getting enough sleep last night and being like, you know how you always are after a concert? You're so pumped up and, you know, like you're on this high for a little while. And then you wake up the next day and you're kind of like riding it just a little bit harder. And then it's kind of like, damn, it's over. But you get to go back tomorrow.
Yeah.
Friday, whatever.
I had to decompress after that concert. Like, I came home, ate a burrito. We watched some old Hawaii Five-0 episodes. Because, you know, Josh loves his old television programs.
Yes.
As my grandma used to call them. My programs.
Yeah, my stories.
Gotta watch my stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh my God, there was this one time. So my grandma had Alzheimer's, which is hilarious. Just kidding. But it was sort of shocking that no one knew sooner, because she would do crazy shit. Like, one time she came to visit us, I remember she was staring out the window, just staring. And I said, "Grandma, what are you staring at?" And she said, "Well, it's so odd. Lightning keeps striking in the same place over and over again." And I look out the window. I was like, "What?" And it's a crystal clear sky, like blue sky. And off in the distance, I see a radio tower with like a red flashing light, like beacon.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's not even what lightning looks like.
Right.
Bonkers. But anyway, wait, why was I telling this story? Oh my God, do I have Alzheimer's? I forgot what I was going to say. What were we talking about? Oh, I know. So we were talking about my program, watching my stories.
Stories, yes.
So yeah, this was the story I was going to tell. Grandma had Alzheimer's. We didn't know it for a long time, but well before we knew that, she would invite us. She lived outside of Oklahoma City, so we'd go stay with her sometimes for a night or two. So me, my older brother, my younger sister were over there one time, and we were watching. Do you remember that movie called Far and Away?
Yes.
Nicole Kidman and what's his name?
Is Tom Cruise in
Tom
it?
Cruise.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's about like the land rush, the Oklahoma land rush. And so we're watching this movie. It's like set like, you know, in frontier times. And it's a commercial break. So she leaves the room to go to the bathroom or, you know, get a Coke or something, which can be Dr. Pepper in Oklahoma. You know,
Oh,
I'll take a Coke.
absolutely.
Okay, what
It
kind?
could be a Sprite.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So she was gone. So my brother thought it'd be funny to change the channel. So we changed the channel. And she came back, and I'm not kidding, like minutes passed. And we're watching a science fiction show. It's like set in outer space on like a spaceship. And it took minutes for her to realize someone had changed the channel. Damn it, Austin! I know it was you, you little shit. It was my brother.
That's funny.
But yeah, watching my programs.
Yes. My Nana was good at watching programs.
Yeah. So
Mm.
we're not doing talks of shame right now.
No,
We don't have time. We simply don't have time. We
it's
have.
the holiday season.
So tell us what you have coming up over the next week. Speaking of grandparents and programs.
Yeah, my parents are coming out to see me on Saturday.
Mhm.
See, you know the fear in my eyes right now?
How long is Susan going to be with you?
For a week. For a week. Yeah. But we're going to spend part of the time in Key West. We're going to spend like 3.5 days in Key West,
That'd be
which will
fun.
be nice. And actually driving down there, and it's like a 4-hour ride, which is probably going to be annoying. But
You
I
could listen
mean,
to our podcast.
yeah, exactly. Be like, if you have to ride with me, you're listening to my podcast. And then they're going to come, we'll be back here by the time we like Thanksgiving Day or whatever. Thanksgiving, like, it doesn't mean that much to me. Like, I don't
Mhm.
go out of my way to, I used to, when I was in New York, I went a little more all out for Thanksgiving, and I would do like the turkey, and we would do all the sides and stuff and just kind of have it hanging around for a few days. But since COVID, I feel like I kind of got out of that a little bit. So I don't know. I think we might find a place just to go out to dinner rather than try to cook something,
Yeah.
you know. And then I'm going to take Susan to the Versace mansion for lunch next Wednesday because I thought she would enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably just I think we're going to do like they have like these millionaire boat tours, where they take you around like the islands and stuff here where all the rich people live. And, just it's an hour and a half on the water and you can get cocktails and stuff like that. So,
Over to Mar-a-Lago and have some drinks.
yeah, right. But I think we might do that with them because it would just be nice to get out on the water for like an hour and a half and do something okay like that.
Yeah.
Touristy things. What about you? What do you have coming up?
Oh, I'm excited because, this weekend we're going to the Cindy concert in LA, and my parents are going with us so that they're going to watch Tilda for us while we're at the concert.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so we're staying in Santa Monica. I found a hotel that accepts dogs, and it's like a 5-minute walk to the Santa Monica Pier. And I've already been out there with Tilda, so I already know the restaurants that permit dogs, so it'll be easy.
Yeah.
But for Thanksgiving, we have zero plans. We have not even discussed what we're doing for dinner that day. And I'm just looking forward to having a 4-day weekend at home, getting things cleaned up. My mom bought us a nice Christmas tree, like a fake Christmas tree. Have you heard of that? It's called like Balsam Hill or something.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it'll be very nice. The box actually arrived 10 minutes before we started recording, so we'll probably get that set up over Thanksgiving
Hmm.
and just take it easy. I maybe will have like a glass of wine or a cocktail that weekend.
Yeah, you could. Just a
Maybe
few.
we'll see.
Yeah. I see a lot in your future. I see a lot in my future. I see
Exactly.
a lot of clonazepam in my future.
Yeah. Oh, I got not quite the same level, but I got my own prescription of gabapentin. Do you know I've never had a prescription before?
What?
Yeah,
Of anything?
I'm sure like after when I had that oral surgery, some sort of, I had a pain reliever for that.
What about when you had syphilis?
I just a shot of penicillin in the ass and I was good to go.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But yeah, I've never had a prescription, so I just got my very first adult prescription.
Wow.
I have gabapentin, and I will be taking it. I don't take it in the work week because I feel like it makes me a little too. I'm just like not quite on top of stuff the next day, but I feel really relaxed. So I'll be doing that over the holiday weekend and gabapentin and wine, maybe a martini here and there.
Yeah, I know it's like my saying, if the label on the prescription bottle says do not drink with this medication, you definitely drink with the medication because you're going to get the most out of that medication,
Listener,
especially a gabapentin.
listener, that's our recommendation to you: is mix medications with alcohol,
Yes.
and especially if you're pregnant. Just kidding.
More importantly, if you are.
Please don't do any of those things. Or if you do, don't blame us for doing it.
Yeah. This is our, yeah, this is our, we're signing a non-disclosure agreement right now.
Yeah.
And non-suable things.
Yeah.
All of the things, all the things for the holiday. I think I'm going to put up my tree Friday night. I usually put it up the Friday after Thanksgiving. That's kind of my tradition. But since the runs are going to be here, I wanted to just get it up before they got here. So the dogs are used to, like that sort of thing before they get here.
Yeah. We typically put ours up after Thanksgiving as well, but because we're going to be here for Thanksgiving this year and we're not going to be here for Christmas, I was like, well, we might as well get it up a little early and enjoy
Where are
it.
you going for Christmas? Are you going to Oklahoma?
Yeah, we're actually flying to Oklahoma City and we're staying in an old bank that's
That's
been
cool.
converted to a hotel, and it looks beautiful. It's really cool looking. There is a bar in the hotel, like in the lobby. It's a beautiful lobby, and they take dogs. So we'll do a night there before we go to Tulsa for Christmas.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm not doing shit for Christmas.
Nice.
Nothing. Nothing. I
That's
was
perfect.
contemplating a trip to the Dominican Republic by myself, but then I thought better of it because I feel like when I get down there, there's going to be a lot of work to be done. Like getting the place open back up. Like, if you have if you have a second home and it's sat empty now for 3 months since my friend moved out of there,
Uh-huh.
like you got to open it up. You got to do laundry. You got to get the musty smell out of there, that sort of thing. And I was
Yeah.
just like, I think I'd rather not do that by myself and have someone come down there with me and then stay an extra week maybe by myself, where I could just
So you'll take someone, you'll make them clean it, and then you'll send them back, and then you'll stay and enjoy it.
right.
Perfect. I love that plan.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very selfish plan, but
I love it.
yeah.
Fuck that person. For whatever they did to you. Probably deserve it.
It's a free place to stay.
Yeah. Speaking of, listener, if you have not rated, reviewed, subscribed, shared us with your friends, fuck you. And then also now go and do those things.
Yeah, go do those things and then we'll wish you a happy holiday season.
Yeah.
You'll get yeah, send in your requests and feedback to hello@theforbiddenpod.com and we'll send you a Christmas greeting from the both of us.
Yeah. It could be nude. Well, I'll
It
do
could
it.
be, yeah. It's totally it's like Russian roulette. Like, what are you getting? You're going to spin a wheel and that's what you get.
You're gonna get one of us. Is it gonna be tits or dicks? So do those things. Rate, review. So if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe, and watch the other things that we've done. In warmer weather, I'm not even wearing a robe. You can see my clavicles and an occasional nipple. Amanda's always sporting a bra strap consistently. That's nice. There's that lovely Notori bra. This episode sponsored by Notori.
Yes.
And
Should be.
you can follow us on social media at The Forbidden Pod on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. I need to be updating that. I will do that soon. And then, what are we forgetting? Did we cover it?
The website.
Oh yeah, we have kicked off this new series. It's probably my favorite photos from our photo shoot.
Agreed.
And yeah, they're a little scandalous. Even more than usual.
To say the least.
Yeah. You'll be thanking us later.
I can't wait for them to drop.
Yeah. Just like your panties.
Exactly.
I loved your story. I want to now go find one of those jackets on eBay.
I know, right? That's why I was looking up. There was an article in Refinery 29 that was talking about the resurgence of people wanting to find these vintage jackets because of like the whole story behind this. Like it's kind of getting out there again,
Photo shoot 2025. Me and you.
Tony jackets. Yeah.
Done.
We can wear them in Miami.
Mm-hmm. We'll tease your hair. We'll tease my hair. We'll crimp.
Yes.
We'll listen to JJ Fad. Fab, right? Yeah, it's gonna be fabulous.
Yes, it will be. Well, thank you for being an active participant in the activity of listening this evening to said story.
And thank you for the memories, as I like to say.
And listeners, as always, we thank you. Happy holidays.
Cheers.
Maybe.
Yeah. Or fuck you.
Yes.